The Imperial Guard will not be found wanting. They are the hammer of the Emperor, his chosen soldiers. In his name do they carry the burden of the Imperium's survival on their actions. The men and women of the Guard liberate the oppressed, enlighten the ignorant, and annihilate the traitor, the Xenos, and the heretic. Across the galaxy, hushed whispers and prayers are muttered to the Emperor's angels, the Space Marines. Yet humanity forgets that it maintains its freedom only by humanity itself. Transhuman warriors be damned. It is in the blood and toil of a trillion ordinary men and women that the sanctity of the Imperium is preserved. It is due to the bravery, self-sacrifice, and the cunning of humanity's most dedicated that the Imperium lives on. They are not the chaff of battle, nor meat shields to an Astartes force, nor an untrained throng of mindless zealots. They are trained. They are ready. They are fearsome. So scoff, if you will, at humanity. Exclaim loudly at our weakness, if that is your wish. For in the end, it will not be at the hands of transhuman warriors that you will fall. It will be by the end of a lasgun, a bayonet, or a shovel, and the hands of the brave, human warrior that wields it. Welcome one and all, I am Azazel, and for better or worse you have stumbled your way onto my video detailing lesser known Guard regiments in 40k. For the Guard are the backbone of the Imperium of Man. Yes, they are his endless armies, the sons and daughters of a million different worlds all dedicated to his Imperium. They range from the desert sands of tribal worlds to the dense lush jungles of death worlds. But we're not here to talk about the ones we all know and love. Herein you will find no Cadians, no Catachans, no Kriegs. We'll steer away from those and shed some light on the ones that need a little more love, some appearing in the lore multiple times and others barely mentioned. Firstly, I owe the Guard an apology. I am one of the ones who often makes jokes at the expense of being fodder for the enemy. It's all in jest, but if you are new to the hobby and the channel, do understand that they are incredibly well trained for the most part. Anytime you do hear comments about the Guard being useless meat shields, it is a running joke. Don't take it overly seriously. Now, do enjoy this entry. And if you're an experienced veteran of the hobby and lore, then don't be surprised if you already know all I have to introduce here. Simply listen along while you paint your models, and I hope you enjoy it. Be prepared now. Steel your hearts and gird your minds as we enter the most horrific place imaginable. The place where hope goes to die, and where thirsting gods rack the souls of billions, while directing madness on the stage of our galaxy as easily as puppeteers pull on strings. Welcome to the 41st millennium. Arkan Confederates. Take some historical drama nerds from the deep south, you'd know the ones that love all those battle reenactment shenanigans, and arm them with real futuristic weapons. There you go, you have an Arkan Confederate. Grey jackets, rhineskin belts, ram skull decorations, they've brought the South to rise again in the grim darkness of the far future. With officers boasting wide-brimmed hats and greatcoats, it's giving redneck meets Hugh Jackman Van Helsing style across the battlefield. But don't get me wrong, these fellas are as dangerous as they are fashionable. Their heavy infantry comes garbed in storm suits, relic power armor handed down through the generations, quite capable of withstanding a blast of firepower, and ready to go with a brief rocket boost to strike at the enemy's heart. But even better than that, they come equipped with enormous vox emitters so that they can inspire their fellow soldiery diving into battle whilst listening to Dixie, or more likely, something a bit more fitting. There's no denying that these historical theatre nerds have as much, if not more, care for their theatrics than the actual fighting. It's like to give a commissar an ulcer from the drama they insist on bringing to the fight, but as long as they take out those heretics, it's not a problem at all. Miasman Redcowls. Fighting alongside the Miasman Redcowls is akin to sharing a small hostel room with a good-natured, jolly fellow who has consumed a metric ton of cheese and beans and suffers from severe lactose intolerance. Not an enviable task. Luckily for the Miasman Redcowls themselves, they come equipped with gas masks specifically suited to blocking out the sulphurous stench of the green flame weapons that they wield. So they notice nothing amiss with their actions. They hail from the orbital space station networks surrounding the gas giant Miasma 16. And boy do they bring those gases with them to the battlefield. They are more often needed for major offensives that require their deadly skills. Only rarely are they stationed as defensive guard forces, for their weapons are so horrific that they cause irreparable damage to the surrounding world. With their kit so powerful at blocking out the hellish miasma of their weapons, they are more than ideally suited to dealing with environments that others would consider inhospitable. So much so, in fact, I'd wager we could walk a regiment of them straight into the Garden of Nurgle and have half of it cleared within a fortnight. But don't feel sorry for these fellows. Feel sorry for their allies. Most of whom will be asking who on Terra they irked to such a degree to be stationed nearby these fellas. Kanak Skulltakers. If you squint your eyes and turn your head while looking at a Kanak Skulltaker, you'd be forgiven for seeing what appears to be an Ogryn. These barbarian tribes serve the Imperial Guard loyally and well within the Guard, and have a top-notch battle record for, well, taking skulls, obviously. They look and fight like they're attempting to be poster boys for a new metal album, or at least extras on the show Vikings. Ever ascribing for their love of close combat, some of these members eschew even las pistols, so that they can more easily dual-wield more primitive weapons. A fine sentiment, one that even the orcs would admire. As a feral regiment, their idea of a uniform is more of a concept than a strict rule. And as far as aesthetics go, well, they are called Kanak Skulltakers for a reason. Need a new helmet? A skull. Shoulder pad? Skull. Trophy to take back home and win the affection of your long-lost love. Chances are that it's probably a skull again. Of course, the occasional reminder can't hurt them that not every skull is up for grabs. No, the Munitorum clerk that looked at you funny is not a worthy battle prize, nor is that guy's over there. Just don't refuse them too much and you'll be grand. Unless, of course, your skull looks like the perfect size for a drinking vessel. Unfortunately, the homeworld of Kanak fell during the invasion of a word-bearer host, so no more skulls to take home for them. Jopall Indentured Squadrons. Imagine a society where people are forced into mountains of crushing debt from the moment they are born. No, stop looking at the US healthcare system, I'm talking about the Jopall Indentured Squadrons. Hilariously, tragically, and/or somewhat realistically, depending upon how you look at it, the citizens of Jopall are forced into debt as children, owing enormous sums of money to Jopall to recompense them for simply being alive and consuming resources. Oh look, it's the 21st century millennial horror. Of course, one of the best ways to pay off this debt is in the Guard. The motivation they have is inspiring. Not to win battles, you understand, but to make every damn shot count. What's the point in bonuses for slaying enemies if you spend too much ammunition to make it worthwhile? Stingy soldiers that count every single kill and every single shot during a battle. Are they soldiers or part-time accountants? Well, they don't have a choice. They have to be both. This makes them both a drawback alongside regular guard regiments, who on occasion wish to seize advantage and charge the enemy, something the Jopall do not consider cost-effective in their calculations, but also encourages them to be self-sufficient, and forever working out the cheapest way to get things done. It's like a squad of Yorkshiremen in the military. You'll keep on hearing the words, "How much?" so often that you'll probably think it's their war cry. Harakoni Warhawks. Have you ever looked at someone and wanted to throw a chair in their face? I know I have. Now imagine you're an Imperial Guard commander. chairs won't do the job, so you have to, yeet some men at the enemy, as the kids would say. That's where the Warhawks come in. Adrenaline junkies, the lot of them, hailing from the planet known as Harakon. These masters of the air employ heavy use of grav chutes to engage the enemy, because waiting for a perfectly functioning aircraft to drop you off is too slow for them. Why walk across a battlefield when you can skydive into it? Why take the stairs when there's a perfectly good shortcut off that cliff? And they do it in style. Whereas the ever-loved Elysian drop troops prefer to be armed and armoured with lighter equipment, the Harakoni decided that the drop part of dropping in needed to be emphasized. Heavy bolters, plasma guns, and a killer attitude allowed them to deploy in smaller squads than the Elysians, and still lay about in their black fatigues and tan carapace armor. Essentially, consider the air nomads from Avatar: The Last Airbender, if they were geared up as special forces. And although the colors match, you probably shouldn't call them black and tans. Also, don't ask them to stay still either. That's likely not their forte. Maccabian Janissaries. Take a step down, Krieg. Your fanaticism means nothing here. Disregard your shovel-loving favourites and meet the true, fervent, ardent fanatics that bear the zeal of the sororitas with the fury of the Black Templars. The Maccabian Janissaries. Technique and tactics: annihilate the enemy. After all, Imperator Vult, and he should protect them from the enemy bullets if he wishes it. These nutjobs, I mean holy warriors, are obsessed to the point that a sororitas would be impressed. These Janissaries hail from Maccabius Quintus, an arid shrine world for pilgrims all over the sector. It is on Maccabius Quintus that Saint Drusus fell during the Angevin Crusade before being brought back to life by the Emperor's will and continuing to serve him. Do the Maccabian Janissaries believe that they will also return to life like Saint Drusus? Well, it doesn't stop them testing the theory. These zealots will march wherever, whenever to fight whatever. They'll rarely return home either. There's no retirement or rest awaiting these soldiers once their journey is completed. They desire only one thing: to die in service to their emperor. And yet, somehow they keep maintaining numbers of well-armed and armoured regiments, so maybe they could be onto something. Just don't forget to say your prayers while you're around them. Narmenian Armoured. Infantry support is a foreign concept to the Narmenian Armoured Regiment. Because why use two legs when a tread-crunching wall of metal can wreak utter havoc on infantry positions? And you'd best believe that they are good at what they do. Fast, accurate, and deadly, they are a wall of overwhelming firepower racing towards the enemy positions with as much surprise as can be mustered by 100 tanks. Their idea of stealth is simply turning the engine off for 5 minutes. Field of battle? Charge in with the tanks. Forest skirmish? Get the tanks to crush the trees out of the way. Side street in a city? Yeah mate, Baneblade will squeeze through of course, we'll just need a paint job later. If you need a crafty plan, the Narmenian Armoured are not the ones at the top of the list. Skilled at manoeuvring and entrapping enemy armour? Absolutely. But subtlety is lost amidst clouds of engine smoke and thundering cannons. But if you need an enemy overwhelmed, annihilated, and pounded into bloody oblivion, then they might just be your guys. Brontian Longknives. You call that a knife? This is a knife. It would probably be their official war cry. And yet they would still be disappointed in Crocodile Dundee. For why settle for a regular knife? Or even a hefty knife, when a long knife is the way to go. Seriously, these are a security guard's worst nightmare. Disarming these guys is like disarming Germany, due to their love of blades, a feeling shared by all citizens on their world of Bront. Born to believe in honour duels and fighting, there's nary a Brontian without a scar. Chicks may dig scars, but these guys love them. And culturally, it's become quite convenient for Brontian citizens to resolve matters of honour with a duel of blades. Rarely will one fight to the death, for to do so would just be a waste of Imperial resources. They can trace and recall each scar they receive on their bodies and do so with pride. Unless, of course, you have scars on your back from a whipping or flogging. Only honorless criminals receive those types of scars. With their skill at close quarters combat, you'll almost always find them as field specialists, leading assaults with bayonet charges or ambushing enemy patrols. Of course, if they had the chance, they'd likely try to stab a tank, and with the size of their knives, I would give them a fair fighting chance on winning that one-on-one. Of course, they're not limited to just infantry, I am over-exaggerating. Their 82nd Armoured Division wreaks merry hell upon the enemy. Although that was likely a backup plan, as I'm not entirely convinced that someone didn't suggest sticking oversized bayonets on the chassis of their vehicles. The Drookian Fenguard. The Drookian Fenguard hail from an inhospitable world of fens, bogs, and marshes. The air is thick with mist and midges, and its warring clans fight among each other's ancestral territories. Aye, it's Scotland in space, and it's dreich out there. The Drookian Fenguard are what Bear Grylls wants to be. Their survival skills are unparalleled. They blend in with the landscape, embracing the discomfort of boggy land, waiting hours to harass enemy patrols, and their scouting and infiltration skills are second to none. The difficulty of working with these warriors? They hate foreigners, and I can't imagine where GW got that stereotype from. Hence why commissars have to stoke the fires of casual racism to get these boys to function appropriately. While they do tend to forego frontal assaults and have a high rate of desertion, because scattering and surviving is much more logical than dying to the hands of a superior foe, they are excellent when used as guerrilla forces or scouting. Sly Marbo definitely has some respect for these fellas. With that said, I think 10 lesser known Imperial Guard regiments is enough to go on for this entry. But I am already planning on doing a sequel to this one and shining a light on some of the fellas that don't get the spotlight like the rest. Special thanks to Butt Mountain for recommending that I do this entry. If you have any other requests, please do chuck them in. Please like, comment and subscribe, it means the world, and I'm happy to accept constructive criticism. Your advice not only improves my future entries, but that also means that you will receive better and better content. It takes a village and all that. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I do hope you enjoyed some escapism from reality. For that's why we are here, isn't it? Until next time.